Spotlight is proudly sponsored by HEC Media, St. Louis's home for arts, education, and culture.
Today on Spotlight, a reminder of the ongoing HIV/AIDS pandemic and the historical impact it had on St. Louis. Plus, how scientists are using technology to help fruit growers fight crop damage. And then a St. Louis dentist helping lower-income families get dental help for free all over the U.S. But first, a local sports organization that was featured on a national TV show. It's Sunday and you're watching the multiple Emmy Award-winning Spotlight.
Put a few Facebook posts out and started something that was very small and it turned into something very beautiful.
St. Louis Sports Outreach is a nonprofit located in Overland, Missouri, that is dedicated to making sure all kids have an opportunity to play sports.
We're an organization set up to make sure any kid that wants to play a sport is not denied that due to high cost of equipment. So if a kid needs a bat, needs a glove, needs a pair of cleats or anything, they can get a hold of us, we'll help them out.
Oh, I love it. It's something I wish would have been around when I was younger, so I completely support what he's doing. My daughter wouldn't have been able to play sports without it, so it means the world to me.
I think more kids need to be in sports for sure, and I think that helping kids that maybe need help getting the things that they need to be in those sports is a really good thing for him to do. It's awesome.
Every child should be able to play a game. Every kid.
It gets them out of the house. It gets them off the video games. It teaches them humility. Everybody needs a dose of humility, and these kids get out there and they have fun. They play nonstop.
Sports Outreach doesn't charge for their equipment. They also accept trade-ins, letting parents replace outgrown equipment with new sizes. Donations are welcome, with the money going to buy new equipment for the kids and to fund 2 scholarships for local high school students.
We have 2 fundraisers a year. We'll have a rock and roll bingo, and then in December we have our annual pool tournament, which, around these parts has honestly become pretty legendary.
STL-YSO seeks to ease the burden on struggling families whose children wish to play organized sports. That's nice. This helps promote an active and healthy lifestyle for all of our children.
The organization caught the attention of TV host Mike Rowe. He featured St. Louis Sports Outreach on his Facebook Watch show, Returning the Favor.
And then when Mike Rowe walked in the room, they got me fair and square. It was pretty, it was fun. It was like a whirlwind those 2 or 3 days. It was fun. Down to Busch Stadium with them, hanging out, the talks. They donated about $30,000 in equipment. They gave us $10,000 in cash. We put that all in a trust for our college scholarship. So it was definitely an experience, once in a lifetime experience for sure.
Sports Outreach provides more than sporting equipment. They also help out in the community, holding toy and diaper drives and buying presents for sick kids around the holidays.
We love it. I just try to make everybody aware of what he's doing and get as much support behind him as we can.
To see the smile on their faces, it makes it all worthwhile. Thank you guys. See you guys.
Have a good night.
HEC Films. Explore, inspire, educate, and entertain. HEC Films, just one of the many facets of award-winning content you'll find at hecmedia.org.
History Spotlight, brought to you by HEC Media and the Missouri Historical Society.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jody Sowell, President of the Missouri Historical Society in St. Louis, and this is History Spotlight. World AIDS Day serves as a reminder of the ongoing HIV/AIDS pandemic and the historical impact it has had on St. Louis. Assistant Curator of LGBTQIA+ collections, Ian Darnell, explains that while the history is marked by loss, it also showcases inspiring community responses.
December 1st is World AIDS Day. Observed annually since 1988, it's a time to raise awareness about the ongoing HIV/AIDS pandemic and to remember those lost to the disease. It's also a perfect time to reflect on the history of AIDS in the St. Louis area, a history that we can trace back more than 50 years. The history of AIDS in St. Louis is full of loss and sadness, but it's also filled with inspiring stories of community members coming together to support one another and to push for change. Many people are surprised to learn that the earliest known person in the United States to die of AIDS-related complications was a St. Louisan. In 1969, a teenager named Robert Rayford died of a mysterious illness at Deaconess Hospital. 18 years later, scientists testing a preserved tissue sample discovered that Rayford had had HIV and died of complications from AIDS. Rayford's story shows that HIV was present in St. Louis a half-century ago. It also shows that the virus was circulating long before the 1980s and far from the big coastal cities that are often remembered as the starting point of the pandemic in the United States. The disease we now call AIDS first came to the public's attention in 1981, following reports of a strange illness affecting gay men. In the following years, the numbers of those affected by AIDS rose rapidly across the country. In St. Louis, as in other cities, community members organized to meet the needs of those living with HIV and to help reduce the spread of the virus. They forged an array of grassroots AIDS service organizations. One of these AIDS service organizations was St. Louis Effort for AIDS, or EFA. Founded in 1985, EFA's many projects included a buddy program, which paired individuals with AIDS with supportive community volunteers who provided practical and emotional support. EFA also launched St. Louis's chapter of Pets Are Wonderful Support, or PAWS. Still active today, PAWS helps people with HIV keep their dogs or cats when they are too sick to care for them on their own. Food Outreach was another local AIDS service organization that got its start in these years. It provided nutritional support to people with AIDS. Food Outreach remains in operation today and has since expanded its mission to include assisting people living with cancer. Unable to work as their illness progressed, some people with AIDS faced homelessness. Founded in 1988 by a coalition of local faith groups, Doorways responded to this need by helping people in difficult circumstances obtain comfortable and dignified places to live. Today, Doorways continues its mission of providing affordable housing to people living with HIV. Meanwhile, in 1989, St. Louis activists founded Blacks Assisting Blacks Against AIDS, or BABA. This group was organized to address the particular impact of the AIDS crisis on the Black community. BABA engaged in education, prevention, and advocacy efforts. As a fundraiser and community-building activity, BABA held its first B-Boy Blues Festival in 1995. The event has since evolved into St. Louis's annual Black Pride Festival, an important occasion for the region's African-American LGBTQ community to gather in solidarity and joy. Another local group was ACT UP St. Louis. In the early 1990s, this organization engaged in nonviolent civil disobedience to demand a more urgent and equitable government response to the crisis. ACT UP members organized confrontational, headline-grabbing protests to draw attention to the life or death stakes of the disease. In the 2020s, HIV infection is for most people a manageable health condition and not the death sentence it once was. But the HIV pandemic remains a serious public health concern in the St. Louis area. Today, activists and health professionals here continue to work to prevent the spread of HIV and to make sure those living with the virus receive the support and medical care that they need. Their efforts build on a foundation laid by community-powered responses to the AIDS crisis in previous decades.
Next week on History Spotlight, the inspiring stories of St. Louis's trailblazing military leaders, highlighted in the St. Louis in Service exhibition at Soldiers Memorial Military Museum.
To learn more about the Missouri Historical Society, visit mohistory.org.
HEC Media. Recognized, celebrated, honored time and again for excellence in the industry. HEC Media has been bringing home the hardware for over a decade. Arts and education to author talks, magazine shows and documentaries, individual craft achievements to overall excellence. Find all of the award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
The spotted wing Drosophila is a threat to fruit growers. This fruit fly made its way from Southeast Asia in 2008, likely hitching a ride on fruit shipments. First detected in California raspberry fields, the insect rapidly spread to other states, causing hundreds of millions of dollars in damage each year.
It's here now. Wherever you see berries being grown, you find the spotted wing Drosophila infesting fruit.
Scientist Stephanie Gamez is an expert on this invasive fruit fly. So, when she was asked to join the St. Louis-based biotech company Agrigene as the director of R&D, Gamez took her very own spotted wing Drosophila from San Diego on a road trip to St. Louis.
Thousands, over 10,000 flies packed up the lab.
Along with her family, including the cats. And in the tubes in the tubs, the gene-edited spotted wing Drosophila.
My precious spotted wing Drosophila lines.
The troops headed to St. Louis are the Hope, an army of gene-edited sterile males that may one day stop the threat.
That were completely sterile, and those were precious. You know, that was the product that would make the company in St. Louis.
The idea is that if they were to be released into the environment, the sterilized males would mate with wild females, resulting in a fertility dead end. Gamez and the Agrigene team use a precision-guided sterile insect technique.
A new technology that's built off an old technology. So sterile insect technique's been around for over 50, 60 years. It's been used by the government to basically decrease the population of invasive species. What we've done is reinvented it. Basically, we're using CRISPR-Cas9 technology to do editing of a fly's DNA in order to make it sterile and also not to produce females.
The product that we're trying to sell is the edit that makes the male sterile. The precision sterile insect technique is a CRISPR-based system. CRISPR technology is using molecular scissors to target and cut DNA at specific target sites. And so if we put that in the fruit fly, or in the spotted wing Drosophila in our case, and we generate these flies that have these tools, these molecular scissors, and we mate them together, we make instantly sterile insect males. And the idea is if we produce enough of these sterile males and then release them in the field, see less fruit flies in the field and also less infestation in the crop.
We have to work with the government, with the USDA. We also have to work with the EPA to get permission to do broader testing. But we need to get the okay from them because it is something new that we're releasing out into the fields.
Gamez led the research team on the transition from the lab into contained field testing, releasing the gene-edited flies on berry farms.
We were able to do some work in California in raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries, and then to do some work in Oregon on cherries and blueberries.
These sterile males, they just harbor these gene edits and they behave like normal wild males. Wild females, when she comes across our sterile males, she doesn't know they're sterile, right? Because there's no, peacock feathers or anything saying, hey, I'm sterile. So once that sterile male mates with her, she feels mated and there's these changes happening inside her that increases egg production because she thinks she's mated. But in reality, when she lays eggs, they're unfertilized.
Precision genetic methods are considered efficient and environmentally friendly. Currently, growers rely on pesticides to protect crops from the fruit flies, but pesticides kill helpful insects.
Important insects like pollinators, like bees, those are critical for like blueberries, small fruit.
Gamez believes the hope that accompanied her on her move to St. Louis may one day save the day with her pest and others.
So this technology is a platform technology, meaning like you could apply it to almost any insect. As long as you could insert it in those bugs and you get sterile males, you're good.
Later on Spotlight, a song from the co-founder of the Ozark Mountain Daredevils.
Visits to the dentist are a regular part of life for most kids. But for others, it's not that simple.
You see it everywhere, not only in St. Louis, but all over the country and all over the world, that so many kids just don't have access to dental care.
That need is what sparked Dr. Jeffrey Dalen to co-found Give Kids a Smile in 2001.
Give Kids a Smile is just basically, it's a program where we do full service dentistry for children who have no access to dental care.
It's always been a family affair. At age 10, Dr. Dalen's son Andy played games with kids in line, and his nephew Daniel helped out too. Now both those men join Dr. Dalen and volunteer as practicing dentists.
With a program like Give Kids a Smile, we can provide not only that dental care that's so highly needed, but also the education so both the kids and the parents are more educated about oral health in the future.
Giving back to the community and seeing the reaction of the families is priceless.
Twice a year, the men join other dentists, dental hygienists, and volunteers on the campus of St. Louis University. Their mission: give back to the community with free dental care.
There are a lot of children that have not been to the dentist ever in their lives. They have no access to dental care. That's the sad part, because they will have problems in school because they're in pain. They'll not eat properly. They have poor self-esteem. They don't want to smile and show their teeth.
For many families, the clinics are life-changing.
It's a blessing because she has had some dental issues that we've been trying to get taken care of. And to know that there's a service that's available to the community, to those that need the help.
The American Dental Association adopted the idea, and now every February, there are Give Kids a Smile clinics across the country.
This is the United States of America. Kids should not be going to sleep in pain. That's why we get plenty of volunteers here and around the country. I mean, millions of children have been seen since the American Dental Association adopted it. So we're talking, their estimate is 7-8 million children have received dental care.
In the fall of 2022, Give Kids a Smile focused on another vulnerable population in St. Louis: immigrants.
Some of them don't even speak English, but we somehow, a lot of hand motions and open, close, and things like that, we can get through it. And so everybody, had a good time.
It's really just an amazing experience. It's really hard to kind of put into words. It's a very positive atmosphere. Everyone is so gracious.
Clinics include everything from cleanings and fillings to bonding and other repairs. Families seeking care must make an appointment. Information is on the group's website, gkas.org.
Children, it's normal for them to be a little reluctant at first, but overall there's so much fun there that I think the kids generally leave on a very good note.
Since its beginning, Give Kids a Smile has provided more than 16,000 St. Louis area children with more than $9.5 million in dental care.
It just puts your mind at ease and makes your heart just feel so warm because you know that someone else out there has a concern for the children who need the help.
In 2022, the American Dental Association recognized Dr. Dalen with its Humanitarian of the Year award for his efforts.
I was speechless. I mean, it's just hard to fathom, that I could get anything like that. But again, it's as I said when I accepted the award, it's for everybody who's ever done a Give Kids a Smile program anywhere in the United States, anywhere in the world. So they all shared in that award, not just me.
It's been really cool to see all the recognition he's got for all of his hard work over the years. Obviously, this small little idea that started in St. Louis 20 years ago was adopted by the ADA the next year, and now 2 decades later, there's been millions of kids across the country who have gotten free dental work that they wouldn't have otherwise gotten without this program.
HEC has been bringing you positive programming and award-winning content for decades. Arts, education, culture, in-depth discussions, films, and more. All in one place. HECmedia.org.
I can still remember the time and place when I think about you.
If it's true that musicians don't retire, they stop when there's no more music in them, then Michael Supe Granda will be making music for a long time to come. Supe is the bass player in the Ozark Mountain Daredevils. He's a songwriter, an author, a performer, a professional Santa Claus, and a self-described goofball.
I got him out in Fredericton, Wentzville.
Now based in Nashville, he's never without a project, whether performing in one of his many bands, writing new music, or appearing as a contestant on the Wheel of Fortune.
You would, huh? Go ahead.
Tidings, trimmings, and tinsel.
Leave it to Santa Claus to get that. Yeah!
I get itchy. I write all these songs. When you put out a record, I would get one song on an album. So I would take all these songs, I'd grab some other guys, and go, let's form a band, and when the Daredevils are off, I'll go start this project. I feel like one of those plate spinners on Ed Sullivan. I've got all these plates spinning, and I like it.
Growing up in suburban St. Louis, Supe dreamed of being a baseball player.
For the first 13 years of my life, I was obsessed with the St. Louis Cardinal baseball team. I knew I was going to be the second baseman for the Cardinals.
Then he saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show.
I didn't really see a lot of girls screaming for Mike Shannon and Tim McCarver, but I saw them screaming for George Harrison and Ringo Starr, and it was like flipping on a switch. In St. Louis, I was plowing a very fertile field for musicians. I got to go and see Chuck Berry, the Isley Brothers. Ike and Tina were still around. Not only is Chuck Berry a musician, he's also a poet. Those songs are just absolute poetry. And when I heard him sing, "No particular place to go," I couldn't get that out of my head. I still can't get it out of my head.
No particular place to go.
Being in St. Louis during that time period was very, very beneficial because I got all different influences, all different kinds of music, and they all burst into my head.
Supe went to college in Springfield, Missouri. He met musicians who were songwriters like him. Before long, they coalesced into a band called the Ozark Mountain Daredevils.
Well, we need a manager because we didn't know what we were doing. We were just a bunch of stoned out hippies. We could play really well. We could sing really well. We had absolutely no business acumen.
The Daredevils created a demo.
We brought the demo tape up to St. Louis. Crickets.
Through the managers of the band Brewer and Shipley, the demo recording was played for two record producers, Glenn Johns, who produced albums for the Eagles, and David Anderle, known for his work with the Beach Boys and Frank Zappa. Anderle and Johns were looking for a country rock band with a less polished sound.
But they wanted something a little funkier, a little less slick, a little rougher. That's when the wheels started rolling at A&M Records. Dave and Anderle got the ball rolling. David and Glenn flew to Kansas City to see us play a gig.
The Daredevils recorded their first album at Olympic Studios in London. They signed a contract with A&M Records, and the Ozark Mountain Daredevils took off.
Fate, Lady Luck.
With the Daredevils, famous for top 40 hits like Jackie Blue and If You Want to Get to Heaven, Supe's performed all over the world. Now, 50 years later, the band is still touring. A new album was released in 2017. In between Daredevil concerts, Supe writes songs and performs with an array of bands. And he's even a professional Santa Claus, appearing at the Nashville Ballet and at Tennessee Titans NFL games. On top of all that, he's written 2 books. It Shined is a history of the Daredevils. His new book is a collection of essays about being Santa Claus.
At 71 years old, I still love what I do just as much as I did when I was 17. I still feel like I'm 17 when I put my guitar on.
For Michael Supe Granda, there's plenty of music still to be made, and lots of playing yet to come.
And that's my job. That's why I was put here, is to make other people happy, to entertain other people, and to make the world a lighter place. Lighter in air, lighter in brightness. Here's a song that I wrote called There Ain't No Money in It. I wrote it with a fellow St. Louisan and a wonderful musician by the name of Dan Eubanks. And there ain't no money in it. You can make a lot of money, throw it all away. Stuff it into a mattress, save it for a rainy day. You might be making bacon while others are making hay. Oh, there ain't no money in it. You might take your chances, head off into town. Find yourself a card game, lay your money down. But Lady Luck might find you in the lost and found. Oh, there ain't no money in it. Well, there ain't no money in it when you're trying to get ahead. You spin your wheels, grind your gears, and fall behind instead. What you scratch out an hour, the fat cat makes a minute. Oh, there ain't no money in it. So listen to your father when he's being frank. Your mother says hard work pays off, you've got her to thank. But don't try to cheat the devil or rob a bank. Oh, there ain't no money in it. Well, there ain't no money in it when you're trying to get ahead. You spin your wheels, grind your gears, fall behind instead. What you scratch out an hour, the fat cat makes a minute. Oh, there ain't no money in it. You want to ride the wheel of fortune? Go ahead and spin it. Oh, there ain't no money in it. Oh, there ain't no money in it.
Next week, he was a pilot of the 15th Air Force and a Tuskegee Airman, and he was from St. Louis. Plus, find out where in the STL you'll find a rare Bible owned by J.S. Bach. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KPLR 11.